gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jenquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
It's aimed at cracking down on businesses that may be contributing to crime problems. As Rob Masson reports, if certain crimes occur on business properties, those businesses may soon be shut down.
In their effort to try and tackle crime, the New Orleans City Council has now given the city's police chief broad new powers in shutting down businesses that could be contributing to the problem.
And if a business is ever going to be shut down, it's going to be because a judge saw that the business met all the criteria and that was the last resort.
Under the measure proposed by Councilmember Helena Moreno, those criteria would be 3 violations of criminal acts on a business property in New Orleans within a single year.
And that can actually rack up pretty quickly because New Orleans is super hot. So I don't think that is fair, that specific rule. But what's going to happen is obviously the community is going to be disproportionately affected by this. I know they're trying to show these like druggy gliders here, but the reality is it's the brothers chilling outside with a cup of lean and a Black and Mild or something like that, or a Bleezy, blazing, posted up, looking hard, that's going to end up causing a lot of the situations that might go down at these businesses.
Those crimes include, which are very clearly listed on the ordinance, distributing, storing, or manufacturing controlled substances, storage or possession of stolen property or unregistered firearms, or the furtherance of a crime of violence.
As the council debated the nuisance ordinance, concerns were raised about possible unfair enforcement.
Even when the intent is good, it seems like in many cases that the disparaged community bears the brunt a lot more than the violators who are in other communities.
Moreno said the bill will include a reporting element to monitor the racial breakdown of those who are shut down.
We don't want to ever there ever be any accusations of subjectivity. We wanted to make sure that it was like, nope, it's about meeting the criteria.
Yeah, and like I said, the issue is that some of these businesses in the community, they're not doing business the right way. They're just not doing business the right way. And this is definitely going to have an impact on the community.
The measure received unanimous council support, especially in light of a recent incident where a Baton Rouge bar was shut down after Madison Brooks of Covington was allegedly raped and died on a Baton Rouge street after visiting a bar there.
In light of what just happened in Baton Rouge in particular, that we have an even greater onus to make sure that we're enforcing this.
But the thing is, like, how I know in this case with the bar, that business is definitely liable. But at the same time, are you just going to hold businesses responsible for what people do off the premises of their establishment just because they got lit at that establishment, I don't really think that's fair.
Equitably and evenly.
The new nuisance law will not apply to residential properties, only businesses. And the measure provides for a business to be shut down for up to 2 years and possibly face civil penalties if it is declared a nuisance by a civil court judge and padlocked by police. Elena Moreno said she modeled the statute after a similar law put in place in Baltimore by former New Orleans police chief Michael Harrison. Meg.
Charbonnet Funeral Home tells me someone broke in their facility, but he fears that the break-in stems from the unhoused population that's been growing underneath the Claiborne Bridge.
I've been here for 135 years, my family, and I have a whole block here. I can't just fold up the cotton and leave, you know. And
my man said, "Fold up the cotton." No pun intended.
It's beginning to hurt me.
The uptick in crime in New Orleans impacting one longtime business owner.
It's not the normal break-in that you would see. People want to take televisions and all these other things. They didn't take those kind of things. They took things that they could dispose of very quickly.
Louis Charbonnet believes the break-in had something to do with the growing unhoused population under the Claiborne Bridge. He fears if not addressed, his business will suffer.
They took a lot of linens, blankets, things that we use just at the funeral home.
I got a first-hand look at the conditions under the Claiborne Bridge.
Here under the Claiborne overpass, you see the large encampment, but it's on public property. So the city has restrictions as to what can happen on public property.
I asked Councilman King, how can the city remove Mardi Gras ladders from public property then? He says the rules are tricky.
That's a tricky answer. If someone has an encampment on a private property, the city can't go onto that private property and remove those individuals.
Charbonnet wants the city to come up with a solution rather than a temporary fix.
I don't know exactly what the powers that be can do, but they need to do something. And I know there's something that can be done.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe. Hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jinquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga Jinquavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your
Y'all nigga.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take
What more do you want from me?
An Uber driver shot in the head by a passenger is recovering in the hospital and sharing what happened in her vehicle on Friday.
Dang. So from robbing funeral homes to shooting Uber drivers in the head, the community, you have outdone yourself. Look, man, I really coming here day to day and putting out these videos, it's not easy because I see so much of this, and it really is heartbreaking because it's almost like people just are not aware that this is going on in mass. It's wild.
Arrest reports Gulfport police say Linda Buford was Ubering 17-year-old Triniel Coates Jr., who rented the ride under his older brother's name. Coates allegedly pulled out a gun and shot Buford in the head.
Dang, so his older brother set it up, and it looks like bro definitely spazzed out on Shorty. and this really makes it look bad for brothers who are trying to get Ubers, especially when when you call the Uber, it asks, hey, is this ride for you? You can put yes or no, and it definitely presents an unsafe environment for sure.
That happened near the intersection of Tennessee Street and Chicago Avenue in Gulfport. Buford then drove more than 2 miles to Rouse's begging for help. And then 4 days after the shooting, Buford sharing a message on Facebook. She says, in part, quote, I'm still in shock that something like this can happen here to one of us. I was meant to be killed, shot point blank in the back of the head. The teen gunman is being held at the Harrison County Adult Detention Center on a $250,000 bond.
News as we come on the air tonight. Police investigating after a woman falls out of her car with a gunshot wound at a Gulfport grocery store.
Police telling us she drove there after she was shot. Now, we still don't know where that shot was actually fired, but the woman was found here at the Rouse's grocery store on Pass Road in Gulfport. You know where this is, right at the busy intersection with Cowan-Lorraine Road.
Wow.
And when shoppers and employees saw the woman, they offered whatever help they could while looking on in shock.
Some of the witnesses sharing their story with us tonight. Let's go out live to Stephanie Poole at the scene. Stephanie, what are we hearing?
Yes, that's right, Jennifer. The Rouse's market scene is pretty quiet right now. Earlier this evening, 8 emergency agencies filled the parking lot to go where the victim was found hurt. We're going to go ahead and pull up that video to show you some of those images. Now, once again, Public Information Officer Sergeant Jason DeCray says Gulfport police got the call around 6:22 tonight. As of now, officers continue to search for a suspect. A description of the shooter and vehicle has not been released. Witnesses reach out and tell us that the moments of the victim was found in her car. One person says she was covered in blood on her shirt, asking and crying for help. She was laying on the ground near the entrance. Shortly, officers arrived to administer aid to her and take her off to the hospital. DeCray says they are continue working to gather those details. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
About 6:22, we got a call of a shooting victim at Rouse's. When we arrived, officers learned that it occurred at a different location, and the victim just drove to Rouse's. Her current status is stable, and that's all I've got. It's still an ongoing investigation.
We'll release more updated information as it becomes available. The Rouse's market is now back open for business. Live here tonight in Gulfport, Stephanie Poole, WLOX News Now. Back to
Man, Uber is very dangerous. You have to be careful when doing it. Lyft, all that kind of stuff. You can get caught up in a very, very dangerous situation. And that's sad, man. This story is just sad. I keep saying that, unfortunately, it looks like the super gremlins are out here hunting gliders, and I wish it didn't look like that, but that's what I mean, for no reason. Why it reminds me of that other one, the other story from Chicago, I believe, where a very similar thing happened, but they actually deleted that woman. So it's all bad, man. But y'all got to be safe, especially driving Ubers. These super gremlins are on demon time.
you in the studio.
Thanks, Stephanie. Again, this is a developing story, and we're expecting to learn more. Stay with us for updates.
She's lucky to be alive. An Uber driver shot in the head just 13 days ago. Tonight, an interview you'll only see here on WLOX.
For the first time tonight, Linda Buford shares her harrowing story and her message for the teen charged with pulling the trigger.
10 seconds. 10 seconds to make a life-changing decision. That's all you get. So if I didn't hit it, I'm gonna drop. I'm losing my bonus.
It started off like any other Friday night for Uber driver Linda Buford.
Let's see how much money we're gonna make today, right?
She's
Guys, the fact that she's still going is crazy. These Uber drivers, they really do some great things, taking people from here to there. But the way that the community is just taking advantage of these individuals is absolutely insane. Okay, shouldn't happen at all. You know, like I said, this is not the first instance, and it kind of reminds me of that video in Memphis where the super gremlins were saying that, hey, you know, now we're gonna start targeting grandmas and all that type of stuff, kids, and this is where it has come. This is where we're at with it.
Says Uber offered her a $350 bonus if she met their quota. That prompted Linda to accept rides she normally wouldn't take in areas where she didn't feel safe.
When I first started, even being a slightly bit trepidatious of the danger, I was like, you just be smart. You don't go where you know not to go.
Going against her better judgment, Linda says she accepted a ride January 20th off Hughes Avenue. Gulfport police say 17-year-old Trinielle Coates requested the ride from his older brother's account.
I'm driving to pick him up, and he texted me, and he said, go around to the side where the mailboxes are. It's dark, very scary back there. Usually within 30 seconds, they're in the vehicle. And it was like 4 minutes.
When Coates finally got inside.
Yeah, she should have left. She should have left, honestly, because it is hot in, I mean, it's hot all across the states, but especially in this area.
Inside her vehicle, Linda says he didn't say a word, even when she tried to speak to him.
To be honest with you, I was scared. And I'm watching the time. I'm pulling down the road to the street. And I pulled down the road, and I said, is this it, baby? And he goes, drive to the stop sign. And so I did, and then I stopped, and he opened the door. I had my foot on the gas. I said, thank you, have a nice bam. And I knew it, and I felt it go in, and I felt it crumble, and then shoot out.
Wow, man. For no reason, literally no reason. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Linda hit the gas, driving nearly 80 miles an hour away from Tennessee and Chicago avenues. She laid on the horn, speeding through neighborhoods.
I was coming down Pass Road, and I knew that Rouse's was about 2 miles away. So I was like,
and Rouse's, remember, Rouse's is where that comedian actually was shot at, and he was hit with a stray. He wasn't even the intended target. So very dangerous out there in New Orleans.
I got on the road, and my phone's right here, so 911. So 911 was emergency. I was like, I've been shot, but they couldn't understand me. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Linda made it to the Rouse's parking lot. Confused shoppers walked out of the store to find her on the ground just outside her SUV, begging for help. Medics on the ground sent her by air to an out-of-state hospital.
I knew I was going to live. I got the helicopter, and I had the head on, and the spots arrived, and the blood stopped. I felt like I was going to live.
What do you think his intentions were in
The
shooting you?
car. I just wanted the car.
So he was trying to jack the whip. I mean, it's so crazy because you call the Uber, it's evidence, like your brother called the Uber. It's like, how are you even going to explain that? How are you even going to explain that? I told you guys, we're living in a crash out culture.
Question she can't answer. Why her?
I have a baby. And it's me. What should be so important to you? If you want to destroy my life, I'm going to ask myself, what should you be so desperately that my life, my family, and my baby mean nothing to you?
I mean, I told you guys, these super gremlins don't care. She was probably very woke before this. And, you know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's crazy.
Now, before the shooting, Linda was a well-known
on the coast for operating several fitness businesses. She even won Wheel of Fortune in 2007. She was only doing delivery and driving work to supplement her income.
And even though she's severed ties, Linda still wants to help Uber and other rideshare companies protect their drivers.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get into the video. All right, guys. So, man, we have a story here for you today. We're talking about rideshare drivers, rideshare employers, rideshare passengers, but it is a very dangerous time for rideshare workers, period. Okay. It's absolutely insane what's going down. You've got people being deleted over these rides, and good people too, hardworking people. And there still isn't a real cut and dry way to deal with these types of shootings, because it's really hard to screen as a driver who you're picking up, because people can request rides for places they're not even present at. So it's very difficult. And you can do something with the account where you can mask your account. They need a lot more ID verification for users, because that's going to be the only real way to get around these types of things, where somebody is definitely going to be held accountable, and whoever's calling the Uber ride is ultimately going to be held accountable. But then again, in the case that we just showed, it's never guaranteed. So today we are talking about Abdulkadir Shariff Gedi, and he is an Uber driver in the Edmonds, Washington area. He was taken out, unfortunately, while picking up a passenger. And the thing is, they still don't know who did this to him. So this could be a case of they just saw the Uber light, or they saw the Lyft light in the car and tried to hit a lick that way. So there's so many different ways that you can get caught up driving Uber and driving Lyft. It's very dangerous. You got to have that thing on you, and you got to be ready for everything and anything, especially if you're doing this within the community. So I want to, just highlight what this guy meant to the community and how he was actually trying to do better for himself, and how it all ended. But shout out to IRS for the $3 super sticker.
Oh, say less.
As you guys know, we are back remonetized. Okay, we went from demonetized to remonetized, and we're able to do super traps. So make sure you hit that super trap so that I can read your comments on the screen and get your feedback. Shout out to Product of Cook County with the $10 super trap. He says, just chilling in here before I watch my Chicago Bears play Green Bay today. Best wishes to BGZM and BGZM Nation.
Hold on. Hello? Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!
Yeah, for sure, man. And shout out to the Chicago Bears. Shout out to Justin Fields out there doing his thing. I know that initially it was tough for Chicagoans and Justin Fields to really connect, but now I think you guys are kind of hitting off on all cylinders. And Justin Fields is a guy from Kennesaw, Georgia. So I'm very familiar with him, and he actually went to UJ before he transferred to Iowa State. So, you know, he's definitely a solid dude, solid quarterback, and yeah, go Bears, right? But I definitely think it's going to be an uphill battle going against the Packers. I think their quarterback has just started showing flashes of greatness. So, you know, I definitely want to see that duel go down. But anyways, back to the topic. It's looking rough, y'all. It's looking rough. And I just want to get right into it because, you know, we've spent enough time prefacing how this situation went down, could have went down. Obviously, y'all know I'm reacting off rip. I'm reacting off the cuff. I haven't seen I haven't seen all of these videos yet, so we're gonna break it down live.
It is definitely unnerving to know that this has happened so close to home.
Neighbors in Edmonds startled awake by a series of gunshots Wednesday night. Then a massive police response as officers combed the neighborhood for the shooter.
They went into our neighbor's yard and screamed for everybody to go inside. Saw some of the investigation teams picking up casings on the streets. Really never seen any kind of response like that before. So pretty intense.
Edmonds police say a rideshare driver was shot and killed as he was making a left turn onto Edmonds Way from 236th Street.
Damn.
Police haven't released any information on if the driver was working at the time, but say it does not appear anyone else was in the victim's car when the shooting happened. Family members identified the driver killed as 31-year-old Abdulkadir Shariff Gedi from Somalia, who had been driving full-time for Uber and Lyft for almost a decade to support his elderly parents.
Damn. So he had been doing this for a decade. And I'm sure that he's seen some crazy things. I'm sure that he has seen, you know, some wild things going on. But to get taken out like this after a decade of driving Uber and Lyft and putting yourself out there and just working hard, trying to support for your family, it's a tragedy for sure, man. Damn. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Those who knew Gedi say he also volunteered at his local mosque and was well known in the community there, even attending a service before going to work Wednesday night. Just hours later, he was killed.
A very kind individual, according to the community, and very, very respectful person.
At least 3 rideshare drivers have been killed in Seattle and now Edmonds since 2022.
Damn.
It makes me scared for the people in that industry. I know that they deal with other instances where they can be threatened as well. It's frightening that it was seemingly so random.
Reporting in Edmonds, Lynanne Wynn, Como News.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sad because what was the purpose of that? It's not like they really took anything, right? I don't know. They left the car. So that's that. So what did these super gremlins gain off of deleting this brother? Unless he was if he was deeply entrenched in the streets, which doesn't look like that. He's been driving Uber for 10 years. I really don't see that as something that he was doing. So it's a very sad story. I don't understand why we keep having to come to these situations. Like you heard on the news, this was the 3rd deletion of a rideshare driver this year or since 2022. So, I mean, it's definitely a trend. It's definitely a trend. Let's see.
Yeah, that's right, Preston. He was an immigrant from Somalia, had lived here in our area for a decade. As his fellow rideshare drivers deal with another senseless loss, the search is now on for whoever committed this crime. Abdulkadir Shariff Gedi is the 6th rideshare driver to be murdered in our area.
Damn, the 6th? I thought she said the 3rd. Wow. I mean, either I must have misheard it or she misreported. But that is too much. So we all know that this is a targeted thing. This is a targeted, there's something going on in the streets that for some reason they believe that rideshare drivers are an easy lick or an easy target. Could it be a gang initiation? Who knows?
Since 2019.
It really affects, my personal being, and it's really makes me think, how much pain that family has to go through.
Mourning is the head of the Seattle Rideshare Drivers Association. In a moment that will likely stay with him for a while. He was tasked with calling Abdulkadir's family to console them.
The father is very devastated in the loss of his son, yes.
Abdulkadir leaves behind older parents who relied on him for support. When he wasn't driving an Uber, Ahmed says the 31-year-old was always volunteering at a local mosque.
Everybody knows him very well. He used to take care of the parkings, and he used to feed the birds.
A man of peace killed on the job. Neighbors told Como they heard at least 7 gunshots.
I see this on television all the time. It's out of control, but I had no idea it would be right here on my doorstep.
Plans are now underway for Abdulkadir's funeral, with every cent of the service having to come from his fellow rideshare drivers.
And how bad can that get? The person who's working full-time lost his life. He can't do anything for himself. The drivers have to pinch in.
Now, as for the shooter in this case, whoever that man is, the search is now out there. Police said today that they really have very little information. Anyone who thinks that they may know something about what happened is asked to call Edmonds police immediately. Coming to you live from Edmonds tonight, Ryan Sims, Como News.
Damn. And just like that, you can be taken out, driving Uber, doing something innocent, trying to make money and provide for your family. Man, it's sad, bro. It really is sad. Too many times this has happened, and it looks like this guy was, he was an immigrant. I'm assuming he was doing it the legal way, working and trying to make a way, and taken out. So, you never want a situation like this to happen, whether he was here legally or illegally. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, though, right? But this is something that can really happen, and you're not even from this country. So, man, condolences to the family. But we're going to hear from the police on what really went down, all the details that they know, and hopefully they can bring us up to speed.
The victim was rushed to Harborview Medical Center, and a manhunt began for that suspect. Multiple law enforcement agencies from Snohomish County responded, and also the Shoreline Police Department from our border agency in King County. Police canines were used, drones were used, but ultimately the suspect was not located. We did have eyewitnesses, so detectives responded out to the scene and interviewed those witnesses. Evidence was collected. Those efforts went throughout the night. Some detectives stayed and haven't gone home yet. Some went home and got some sleep and came back. We've gotten some search warrants. We've done neighborhood canvass. We've collected some video evidence. We have found some potential areas where some of the rounds may have gone. We believe there's approximately 10 or 11 rounds that were fired based on the evidence at the scene. Right now, our number one priority is apprehending the suspect. Unfortunately, the victim did succumb to their injuries overnight, so this now is a homicide investigation. It appears that this was two people that just crossed paths, and for whatever reason, the pedestrian decided to open fire.
So maybe, the guy's walking in the street, not getting out the street. He says, "Oh, come on, move. I got to do my job." Da, 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 da. Exchange of words, and guys, it happens that fast. A simple disagreement, a simple argument. That's why you got to have a dash cam for real. If you're driving Uber or Lyft, dash cam, rear view cam, whatever you got to do. You need to be seeing your fronts and your backs and have it on camera, because in that case, at least you can figure out who done what to you and maybe get some justice on the back end. But I mean, a simple disagreement in the community can lead to you being shot and killed just like that. All right. It's a sad reality. And it doesn't have to be much talking. Don't have to be no back and forth. Really. He could have honked his horn at him, startled the young super gremlin, and then boom, he busting back.
It appears that the suspect, was crossing in a crosswalk, crossing Edmonds Way. The driver was making a left-hand turn. For reasons unknown, those two intersected, and the pedestrian opened fire.
So he's making a left-hand turn. The pedestrian's crossing the street. And I guess maybe he felt like he was going to get ran over. That's the only argument, the only defense that he has. But either way, unjustified. Because I'm sure he wasn't going that fast.
And then fled the scene. We have no current information about any previous relationship. This was just a person making a left turn and somebody crossing the crosswalk. And unfortunately, here we are today. So
damn.
Our number one priority.
It's that simple. You can't even make a left turn. I mean, and I just say, hey, wait on the pedestrian. Don't even try and like ease into the turn or anything like that. Just wait on it. Because you don't want to get into any type of altercation.
He is locating the suspect, bringing them to justice. This is incredibly difficult for the family of the victim that, is having to go through this. So now we have to do our part, and we need the community's help, because we know somebody out there knows something. So I'll open up to questions.
And yeah, he's right. Somebody does know something. There is going to be word on the street, right? Word around town. Somebody's going to claim the body, and they're going to be bragging about it. They're probably smoking a blunt dedicated to the new body that I'm just telling you guys how it's going down in the community nowadays.
Are you looking for any vehicles in connection? Like, is it possible that the shooter may have gotten into a vehicle? Any information like that come in?
Yeah, it's a good question. As people were piecing things together upon first arriving, that was some of the information we had. We are not certain that they didn't get into a vehicle, but the witnesses' accounts when officers and detectives were investigating was that this person was just crossing the street. They didn't see them come from a vehicle. That doesn't mean someone wasn't in the area to pick them up, unrelated. We don't know that, but it appears that it was just a pedestrian crossing the street when this happened.
The video evidence, is that from like a traffic camera or a neighbor surveillance camera? Can you describe again what's on there?
Well, the first part of it, yes, they're collecting video from wherever they can get it. The second part comes with trying to analyze it and see what's on it.
Shout out to Savrix with a $10 super trap. He says, bro, it's not going to stop and will keep being permitted and encouraged through suggestible propaganda through media and education. We are in the 11th hour, and it should have been old Yellard years ago.
Oh, say less.
Yeah. I think there has been an opportunity, a window that was missed when it comes to this type of stuff, when it comes to this type of crime. And at this point, you don't know who we got on the streets. I'm gonna just be honest. You have no idea who's on the streets right now. You really don't. Back in the day, you could have assumed that, most people that you encounter were solid individuals. But At this point, you have no clue who is on the streets, who just got paroled out, who just got released on what is it? Supervised release. I mean, release on your own recognizance, OR bonds. I mean, you don't have a clue who is outside. So you got to stay cautious.
That's the little bit more painstaking part. And we've collected some evidence today. They're going through it. I had hoped to have something to be able to release to you to help with the community. That was why we had to wait till 2:00 today. Unfortunately, we just don't have anything yet. But I wanted to get we need your help, the media's help, in getting this message out. And as soon as we do have something, we will release it. But right now, we just don't have anything that we can release out to the public.
Josh, do you know if the victim at all has any Edmonds ties? You say it was from CCAP, right?
Yes, that's what I was told. Yes.
So family members live down there, or do any Edmonds connections to this person?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm only aware that the victim was a rideshare driver. But why they were in Edmonds, information that I don't have right now. But I'm sure the detectives are piecing that together. I know they've been in contact with the family both last night and today, trying to kind of piece how the victim might be up in this area. It could have been part of work, but it could be part of something unrelated.
You said public health. What could help right now? Obviously, if you have concrete information, are you looking for Ring doorbell cameras or what specific?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. We've put out a very what seems like overly simplistic description, and I'll recap that before we all go here. But yes, video Ring cameras from your Ring, your surveillance systems. It's a fairly large intersection with not a lot of residences around it, but the suspect was coming from the west side of Edmonds Way, might have walked through the residential neighborhood to get down to that area. There are some apartment complexes on that side of the street that could have captured if any of those people have Ring doorbells or surveillance systems outside. We also know that this person came from somewhere and went somewhere else.
That's all you got, Chief? This person came from somewhere and went somewhere else. And I understand the logic, trying to follow the Ring doorbells, but at some point you're not going to be able to rely on Ring doorbells. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you that much right now. They're going to try and follow the trail back to, where he traveled or walked or whatever. However, he, got transportation away from the scene of the crime. The suspect, that is. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I really don't.
And we're hoping with this coverage that somebody is like, wait, that person recognizes the description, and maybe there was a bunch of sirens right after somebody left your house that matches this description. We need somebody to come forward. It's the right thing to do, and some other family's grieving because their family member tried to make a left turn. So we need some help on this one.
Can you talk to the community, especially around that block, with neighbors who heard it and saw it, their concerns because this guy's still out there as a worry for the folks in town?
Well, it's legitimate. It's legitimate to be concerned if there's an armed gunman still, whether he's still in the neighborhood or not, you feel like he's still in your neighborhood. And so I'll validate that as a family man myself and a homeowner. We can all appreciate, wait, this person hasn't been caught. I can just assure you that the people that have been walking in and out, they haven't gone home yet. They're doing everything they can to try to find this person. We're out here today to try to get the community's help. But it is unsettling. And I sent out a statement. I'm not sure if you guys all got it yet, but Chief Bennett's issued a statement. Mayor Rosen has issued a statement acknowledging this is unsettling. We're 4 days into the new year and we're having to deal with this in Edmonds. And this is a unique circumstance. This is not people that knew each other or had history that we can tell. They just crossed paths, and for whatever reason, this person decided to victimize this other individual. And so, it is unsettling for the community. We're working as hard as we can, but we need their help. So be unsettled, but be vigilant. Check your surveillance. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends to look at their stuff.
So this guy could still be here. He could be somewhere else. You don't know exactly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a smart ass when I say this, but if we knew where he was, we would go get him, right? You know, it's very possible that he lives in the neighborhood that he was walking from, right? And if you're listening, please come turn yourself in. You have a side of the story. You were crossing the street. Whatever happened, happened. We don't change that. But now it's time to at least come tell your side of the story, and we'll figure everything out from there.
Oh, see, if you think this guy's just gonna go turn himself in, man, you got a whole nother thing coming, bruh. That's not gonna happen at all. Okay, that's not gonna happen at all. So, you know, that's wishful thinking.
But otherwise, it looks like you're running from something, and we need to talk to you. So.
Can you explain that more? Because that area is just a lot of apartments, and then there's like one little business. I don't live here, so I don't know.
Sure.
I didn't see anything that would, for me, make it seem like someone that was maybe transient would be walking around at 10 o'clock at night. Is that an area where people are walking around more so?
You know, if you walk 3 minutes in kind of either direction, you're in a residential neighborhood. Okay. I know that's a state route right there, and if you walk 10 minutes, you're back up to Highway 99, and so it seems like it's kind of a weird. But there's a lot of people that live in that area, condensed housing, apartments. You know, if you walk a little bit more to the west, there's actually fairly established residential neighborhoods. People could have just been out for a walk. They could have gone to their friends and been walking back home. We can acknowledge all those things exist. So we kind of know somebody knows something, because this happened too randomly for somebody not to realize. I heard a bunch of sirens right after somebody left my house or the other area.
Josh, was there any extra security up at Madrona K8? That school up there?
Oh, sorry. So we were in good communication with the school district. We didn't have extra security up there today, but what we did have was patrol officers and detectives up there canvassing the neighborhood, looking for additional evidence. So kind of unintentionally, we had an extra presence up there by all the officers and detectives that were working the area.
And what made you think that this was random? And was it some video that you have already seen, or could the guy have flipped the driver off, or what makes you think that it was like totally random?
Well, we have witnesses that watched this occur, right? So they were at the intersection, driving themselves or in the area, and at some point, yes, the two intersected. The person making the victim making the left-hand turn, and then the person crossing the street. What happened in those like millisecond moments is we're still trying to figure that out. But whatever happened didn't deserve the outcome that it got, which was this person being brutally murdered.
Those 10 or 11 rounds, were they all the same type of round? There's a lot of shots fired.
I'm assuming only, which is not good for the PIO to do. So let's pretend I didn't say that. That it all came from the same weapon. There was no indication. There was multiple reports of successive pops. No indication that there was two weapons involved. But the detectives are going to analyze each and every round and the casings that were recovered, and we'll be able to verify that later.
Was the guy working? You said he's a rideshare driver. Was he working? Is that...
We don't know if he was on duty at the time. We just know that he was a rideshare. Both been talking to the family and some items that were left in the vehicle. But we don't know what, at that moment in time, what he was doing.
Can I ask you a question? I think the last time we did something like this was in May of last year. I mean, homicide in Edmonds, not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about it. We had, I wrote it down just to make sure I got it right. Last year, we had one homicide in Edmonds. In 2022, we had two. One of those was an officer-involved shooting that was investigated by the SMART team. And the year before, we had none. So the goal is to have zero, right? We don't want to have any. We don't want to say, oh, our numbers are low, so everything's fine. Nobody should lose their life.
Yeah, and I mean, at least he ain't bullshitting you. The numbers are high, and it's a problem. You know, at least we're getting some honesty
in a homicidal act. So I don't really want to focus on how many we've had or haven't had. We need to find this suspect, and we need to bring this person in one way or another, and we'd really like the community's help.
So my question for you is, I mean, when you talk to anyone in this town, it's always, you don't expect an ending. So what does it feel like to come out day 4 into 2024 and have to deal with it?
Yeah, you know, I'm a 25-year veteran, so the years and the days, like, they're just how we kind of mark things on a calendar. Police work is one of those things where the calendar doesn't really matter. Stuff happens, human beings happen, and here we are. So You've got a professional organization here that's working tirelessly to go do everything they can to bring this person to justice. That's what our focus is right now. We can't control that it already happened. We can only control how we address the situation now. And we're doing our best to help this family get some healing. Anything else? I think all of your news desks got a copy of the statement if you didn't get it already. So.
When you were talking about witnesses, have you had to kind of quantify that? Has it been, did you have quite a few or?
Yeah, 3 to 5. When I got to the scene, they were kind of spread all over talking to detectives. So if my count's right, we had 3 to 5 individual witnesses. And there was a little bit of language barrier with some of them. So the detectives did a great job of getting resources that they could interview the people in their native language. That made it easier for those interviews to take place. So we were able to get better information because of the dedication of the detectives and frankly, the willingness of the witnesses to stay there and help provide information. It was cold. It was rainy. We had some support that came out and helped keep these people warm. But we do appreciate their efforts there.
Was that support 7 that came out? Did they come
Yes.
out?
Yes. Anything else?
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Peninsula School District policies.
Man, so there you have it. Basically, we're not. We'll be lucky to solve this case. We'll be lucky if this thing doesn't go cold and ASAP. Woo! I mean, it's rough. It's rough because there's no real witnesses. You're relying on footage from other people's homes or whatnot, or maybe somebody coming out and saying, hey, like he said, somebody just left my house and then later I heard gunshots or I heard sirens or whatnot. But most likely the people in those neighborhoods, they're not really on that type of time, okay, in those subdivisions. It's probably somebody who was just, paroling around, trying to see what they could get into, what type of trouble they could get into. And he crossed paths with the wrong one, unfortunately. But yeah, it's getting dangerous out here for everybody. And I do want to focus on the Washington area for this episode, just because this is where this story comes out of. But Seattle in particular, they're getting dragged, okay, because they did a huge defund the police campaign up there. And it's starting to get bad in many of these major cities.
Good evening. The Muslim community says that Gedi was a servant in his community in working to live the American dream. Talking to his family, they say whoever is responsible should turn themselves in.
Don't cry. Always have patience.
Surrounded by her family and her Muslim faith, Umaymiyun Sharif spoke of her older brother, Abdulkadir Shariff Gedi, and the lessons he taught her.
And he always told me to always stand firm on what I believe in.
She will miss those words of wisdom, along with her brother, Abdurrahman.
I'm sad, broken, lost my older brother, and fully devastated.
31-year-old Abdulkadir Shariff Gedi was shot multiple times Wednesday near the intersection of Edmonds Way and 236th Street Southwest around 10:15. According to Edmonds police, the suspect walked into the intersection and shot Gedi, who was on the clock working as an Uber driver.
He pulled the trigger on my brother. He didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that.
Yeah, and this is just seeming more and more random. In my opinion, it just seems like a super gremlin was just trying to catch a body that night. And that's just how it happens sometimes. And I've told you guys that these random deletions, these random killings, these random murders, homicides, whatever you want to call them, are going to start happening a lot more often. All right. Just wait on it.
He he didn't live all his life.
On Friday, members of the Muslim faith flew in from across the country as Gedi was laid to rest. Family and friends at his gravesite say Gedi was a servant in his community, would give rides to elders, and was active at his local mosque. A Somalian immigrant, Gedi had been supporting his older parents, working in the rideshare business for a decade.
What I can say is that my brother, I wanted him to stay longer, live happier and longer life.
Gedi, sadly, is the sixth rideshare driver of the Muslim faith to be shot and killed while on the job, according to the Seattle Rideshare Drivers Association.
This is tragedy, and as the family member said, you know, how many more rideshare drivers will be killed innocently until we have justice for them.
This latest shooting appears to be random.
We're not gonna sleep. We're not gonna give up until we find that person who did what they did to him.
And as for the investigation, Edmonds police is asking anyone in the area where that shooting took place Wednesday to review home surveillance video to see if that suspect was seen on camera either entering the area or leaving the area. Meantime, a GoFundMe has been set up to help with Gedi's funeral arrangements. We're in Covington tonight. Dave Detman, Fox 13 News.
And continuing coverage, we have a description of the suspect involved in that shooting.
Uh-oh.
Police say he is a man in his teens or
Man in his teens, early 20s, curly, dark hair, wearing all black clothes, headed eastbound on 236th Street, armed and dangerous. Damn, that's it. Is he white? Is he black? Is he Hispanic? Is he 5'9", 5'10", 6'4"? You know, I mean, that's all we're getting.
early 20s with curly dark hair. He was last seen wearing black clothing and took off running eastbound on 236th Street. He is considered armed and dangerous, so if you do see him, do not approach him. Just call 911 right away.
And that description is going to get somebody killed. It really is. It really is. You gotta do more. You gotta do more. You gotta give us something else, something a little more than that. Okay? Because now, how are we supposed to identify this person if we don't have a genuine, specific description?
Some rideshare drivers are really on edge tonight after one of their own was shot and killed in Edmonds this week. And we're told the victim was 31-year-old Abdulkadir Gedi. Cairo 7's Samantha Lomibao is in Covington, where the community paid their respects as he was laid to rest this afternoon. Samantha, this is the third time in just a year and a half that a rideshare driver has been murdered. So some say they are feeling targeted.
Drivers tell me they don't feel safe when they're on their job and feel they need to be better protected. We're told Abdulkadir Gedi was driving back to the airport after dropping off a customer on Wednesday night. Police say the suspect was walking on Edmonds Way when he opened fire and shot Gedi, who died at the hospital. Now, we saw similar situations last August when an Uber driver was shot and killed in Soto and another murdered in September of 2022. I spoke with the Council on American Islamic Relations, who's been advocating for increased protections for drivers.
Whether it's cameras, whether it's some type of safety mechanisms that will help make their lives easier. This individual went out to do his job, and he didn't expect to be violently attacked like this and to ultimately lose his life.
Still no word yet if there was a motive, but police believe Gedi's shooting was random. The Muslim community is still mourning his loss as they are still searching for the suspect. Police describe him as a man in his teens to early 20s wearing all black. Now, if you have any information about the suspect, you're urged to call police immediately. In Covington, Samantha Lomibao, Cairo 7 News.
Chico. Yeah. A lot is going on in the Washington area. We're going to transition straight to Seattle and see how chaotic it has been just this new year and the months leading up to the new year.
Yeah, police say they haven't found that suspect yet, but there was a woman in the car. Police say she was taken
to the hospital. Those who live on that street, thankful tonight that nobody else was hurt, because when you take a look at that scene, certainly could have been possible. What a mess was left behind on this neighborhood street next to Mount Baker Park. This red Honda SUV, Seattle police say was stolen, seen smashed to pieces
Damn.
in the middle of the road. This other car being towed away was parked on the street but became a casualty when the car owner's mother says the stolen vehicle smashed right through it. Thankfully, her son was not inside.
It's a very quiet street. It seemed, I mean, this was a big surprise.
Maria Christophilus, who lives nearby, was walking down the sidewalk with her daughter and came upon this scene as crews worked to clean up glass, car parts, and everything else.
Well, it's just scary when it's in your neighborhood.
Police say this vehicle ended up this way when earlier an officer had spotted the stolen Honda. He initiated a traffic stop, but the suspect drove off. According to the department, SPD officers did not chase them. Then police say the crash happened. The man driving ran off, and a woman who was a passenger was hurt.
It's difficult to watch Seattle, take a downturn like it's taken with safety and all of that. I mean, we strongly feel like we need our police.
Yeah, we're still working to find out more details on that stolen vehicle. We do know that it is stolen out of Seattle. We also haven't had any identification of that suspect, but police say, again, he is still on the run tonight. In Seattle, Paul Rivera, Como News.
Another Seattle pot shop hit by crash and grab burglars. This morning, someone rammed a car into the front of this marijuana store in the city's Wallingford neighborhood. The shop along Northeast 40.
Damn. So, as you guys can see, people are specifically targeting these marijuana vendors, hitting them up like they are the actual plug and not respecting their business license, business status. And the reason why is because, they're at the end of the day, the people on the street still look at them as a drug dealer, whether they have a business license or license to sell or not. So they feel like you can't call the police about them bricks in the kitchen because it's illegal anyway, in their minds, even if it's legalized in the state or decriminalized, however they want to call it. So it's still a very dangerous business, even if you're dealing with it legally.
5th, just west of I-5, is now all boarded up once again. Police towed a red Hyundai Sonata from that scene. They also say the thieves did steal some products from the store. One of the shop's managers told us this is not their first crash and grab.
My friends are so sick of this place being dropped into. It's not fair. Like every single company, even the frame shop down the street has been knocked into. What are you going to do?
Just hear his frustration. The assistant manager told us the shop was also hit just 2 days ago.
Damn. So there you have it. Yeah, this shit is ridiculous, man. It's only getting crazier. And the suspects are also only getting younger. And that is what's even more scary, because they can throw their lives away for, a short amount of time, and then they get released back onto the streets if they're a minor when they do these crimes.
Yeah, and that's why the neighbors say they're frustrated, because they say crashes like this are absolutely preventable. Troopers say this 14-year-old was behind the wheel of that stolen car going at high speeds when he hit another driver on a stretch of road that neighbors have been worried about for some.
So you heard that. A 14-year-old got behind the wheel being chased because he stole a vehicle. And boom, just like that, kills a 50-year-old man attempting a U-turn.
Time.
Early Sunday morning on a dark and foggy stretch of road, a deputy's body camera capturing the scene where a teenager is accused of crashing a stolen Kia into another car on the south end of Spanaway.
And these are the Kia boys striking again. What have we told you about the Kia boys? This is them striking again.
That teen, blurred here, survived. The other driver did not.
I'm devastated. I'm very devastated.
Faye owns this store next to where the crash happened.
a person's life was taken because of this kid.
Faye says the whole town is frustrated with the disturbing trend of young people stealing Kias and racing around town.
They're out here drag racing and speeding and racing each other. And a lot of times there are Kias.
Police have warned of a social media trend that shows teens how to quickly steal certain models of Kias and Hyundais. It's known as the Kia Boys, and it's fueling a rise in car theft nationwide. The National Crime Insurance Bureau said Washington had a 31% jump in stolen cars between 2019 and 2022, the highest of any state in the country. Earlier this year, police say 2 teens in a stolen Kia crashed into a semi-truck after fleeing a robbery scene in Pierce County.
Damn, look how much destruction these super gremlins are causing. I mean, they are doing real damage in these streets. These super gremlins are on demon time.
Driver of that semi was ejected and died at the scene.
No respect. Absolutely none.
Diane lives in Spanaway and calls this weekend's crash heartbreaking.
Made me sick to my stomach.
She and others we talked to say they feel like teens have no fear of consequences for stealing cars, and they know this won't be the last time this happens.
It's deemed to happen again. And I hope not, but it's deemed to happen again.
Now, the teen who was driving was taken to the hospital. I talked with the State Patrol today. They said it's too early to know exactly what charges he may face or if he'll be booked into juvenile detention when he's released from the hospital. There was also a passenger in the car that was hit. That woman was taken to the hospital where she remains with injuries. Reporting live in Seattle tonight, Jeremy Harris, Como News.
This is ridiculous. God, I mean, the Kia Boys, they definitely started a trend. They definitely started a movement because this is one of the most prevalent crimes in the streets now that has pretty much taken over. Okay? This shit has gotten it's become nationwide. The Kia Boys have, so it's definitely ingrained in the street culture.
Well, the victim's family tells me that they still have a lot of unanswered questions about what exactly happened here after hearing from witnesses who have come forward providing a different version of events.
We just, at the end of the day, just want the truth.
Family members have been combing the scene where 64-year-old Myron Moss was killed on November 17th, trying to find out what happened leading up to the fatal shooting that took his life.
Every night I'm up wondering about what happened to my brother. And I mean, I can't sleep.
Investigators with the King County Sheriff's Office say Moss was found dead from a gunshot wound in the parking lot of this 76 gas station in Auburn. Moss's family says from what they've gathered, the shooting may have stemmed from a possible road rage incident with at least.
So road rage is definitely another thing. So you can get clapped by a pedestrian who somehow has road rage, even though they're not behind the wheel of a car. Somebody crossing the street will shoot and kill you, or you can be in a vehicle and get clapped. Like I said, the highways and byways, very dangerous. And you just want to avoid dispute. Somebody cuts you off, let it go. Avoid honking your horn. I know it could be difficult at times, but is it really worth it at the end of the day?
One witness coming forward saying Moss was here working on his car when an SUV almost hit him, leading to an argument.
After that, she heard gunshots, and then she looked up, and he was walking back to his car, and that's where he collapsed.
Investigators detained the shooter, a man in his 20s, who they say has been cooperating with the investigation, but was questioned and released. Moss's family says investigators told them the shooter claims he shot in self-defense.
I just want to know the truth, and I want to know why the guy's story doesn't match up with the other people's story.
We spoke with other witnesses who did not want to be on camera. But
damn, look at that gas, $4.30 a gallon. Woo! Thank God I am not over there, because
Shared the shooter was the one who approached the victim.
He was near his car the whole time, and they said within seconds of the guy pulling into the parking lot, that's when he had shot my uncle.
The sheriff's
Damn.
office would not verify the family's claims, only saying they are still investigating. And they are also seeking other witnesses who may be able to provide more information.
If anybody know anything, just come forward. If you don't, I mean, you might think it might not be that important, but it could be something to break the case open.
So, I find it very interesting that you have people in the community asking people to come forward. We don't normally see this. And then you also don't have people shaming this guy for saying that, right? But if I say it, then it's a problem. If I say it, it's a huge issue. And, I'm a sellout, I'm this, I'm that. But the reality is people are hurting, people are in pain, and a huge relief to their pain could be getting closure on finding out who, inflicted harm or even, took their family member away from the world. So, it's ridiculous. And I've been getting an influx of hate emails and hate comments for simply pointing out that we've got huge issues that we need to really address, at least acknowledge, so that we can work toward a solution. That's why I sell the t-shirts, the No Solution, KNOW Solutions hoodies in my merch store, because I believe that we can get to know and come to know solutions if we first acknowledge these huge issues. And I think that the police precincts and the sheriff's office are definitely starting to come to that epiphany.
We are starting tonight with a new report showing crime has increased across Washington in the last year.
KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy dives into the numbers and why Spokane County Sheriff points much of the blame at Olympia.
From theft to murder, crime was up in Washington state last year. That's across all crime categories, according to a report from Washington sheriffs and police chiefs. Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles wasn't surprised by the numbers.
If you don't do anything to disrupt poor behavior, hold someone accountable for bad behavior, you can just expect more of that.
Yeah, and this is what you guys have to understand. In many ways, it's a badge of honor to be arrested, and in the community, in the streets, within that culture, right? It is a badge of honor to be arrested. So arresting these guys is not really a big deal for them, especially when they know they can bond out easily or get out on supervised release or something like that. It's not really threatening to them. As a matter of fact, they come back and get free My Ninja t-shirts and all this kind of stuff. So it's not really a deterrent. But if you keep these guys in there, especially the ones doing violent crimes, that's when it starts to maybe register that I got to do something different. Otherwise, you got guys who are going to continue to crash out over and over and over again until they finally crash out and they're either dead or get a life sentence, because there's just no real penalty for a lot of these young guys who are doing these crimes over and over again.
Points to the state legislature for the rise in reported crime. Let's look at property crime, which saw one of the largest bumps, up nearly 10% from the year before. That includes things like theft, robbery, and car theft. In Spokane County, there were 2,768 thefts in 2022 and 917 stolen cars. That rose from 669 in 2021.
And that's just what's being reported. I know there are citizens who have expressed to me and other people that they are so frustrated with the lack of accountability that they don't call and report.
Knowles blames two major policy changes: a reduction in Washington's prison population and the legislature lowering minimum sentences for many crimes. He says people with multiple repeat felonies are spending less than a year in jail oftentimes, and may never make it to prison.
We now have a jail where literally every time we book somebody in, somebody has to come out the door on the other side. Full on 14% of the people we book never see the inside of a jail cell at the jail they're released before they ever spend a day in jail.
Crime 2 News reached out to Governor Inslee's office. His press secretary says the state's statutory penalties have never incentivized anyone to reoffend, pointing to a DOJ study saying reoffenses are often due to lack of resources and other economic factors. He says crime has increased nationally, beginning with the pandemic. Washington is working to
Yeah, and that was a concerted effort. So this is that's a lot of these guys cop out. Well, crime has increased everywhere. That doesn't make it right, though. That doesn't mean that you in your city, in your county, can't do something about that. You know, I hate when they try and, oh, well, it's increased everywhere, so it's okay for our numbers to look shitty. That's just bad representation.
Address it. On the local level, Sheriff Knowles says Spokane County needs more jail space and an alternative to jail for substance use treatment.
But we have to have something waiting in the wings if they don't take advantage of it that's worse than going to the treatment. And we don't have that right now.
Shannon Mounty, Crime 2 News.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Let's keep going, though. This is getting interesting. I'm starting to see the issue here.
Yeah, Preston, police were called here to Linden Avenue around 1 this morning. This actually comes as crime is trending down in some areas as we wrap up the year. But the Seattle police chief and many others we talked to today say this grim milestone is a reminder of the work still left to be done. The crime tape went up and police combed for evidence where a man was found dead from a possible stabbing in North Seattle.
I mean, there's violence everywhere, but as far as Seattle, yeah, it's been crazy.
Police Chief Adrian Diaz showed up to report this homicide marks the city's 72nd, surpassing the previous record set in 1994.
But when you have a homicide like this, it's tragic for the family and it has huge impacts to the community.
Jim Fuda with Crime Stopper says he's upset but not surprised about the numbers, given the police staffing crisis and what he calls a lack of accountability for offenders.
Violent criminals are being released from jail and doing other things, and there's a sense that that people can get away with these things.
And complete shock from daycare owner Apollonia Washington, who has been outspoken about violent crime, including gun violence off 23rd and Jackson. Her learning center was hit by a stray bullet in October, sending young children crawling to safety.
I shouldn't have to think about bulletproof windows when I'm giving good quality care to children.
She and neighboring businesses have since formed a coalition focused on public outreach to help vulnerable populations. And they're pressing city leaders to keep police resources in the area. She and her colleagues are encouraging other neighborhoods to take action.
Just like we're holding folks accountable to support 23rd and Jackson and around, there need to be other work groups created throughout the city.
Meanwhile, Fuda is hopeful for a turnaround in 2024 and urges current and incoming city leaders to tackle the drug problem that often leads to these horrific crimes.
It shows more heart and mercy to be able to take care of these people when they're not capable of making their own decisions.
You think the new city council could help push those changes?
Absolutely.
And Washington tells us that her coalition is willing to help other neighborhoods that are wanting to start up work groups of their own. Also, Chief Diaz this summer introduced a new task force aimed at tackling gun violence in hotspots like Aurora Avenue, downtown, South Seattle, and the Central District. SPD has yet to release statistics of how successful that effort has been so far. For now, live in North Seattle, Jackie Kent, Come On News.
Right now, Federal Way police are looking for an armed and dangerous suspect accused of attacking a man who was exercising at a park, sending him to the hospital with serious injuries. This all happened before 8 this morning at Town Square Park and Federal Way. KOMO's Paul Rivera reports on this investigation. He also spoke to those who have serious concerns about safety in that area.
There's kids here almost every day. You know, not just mine, but all the local kids. So it's...
Damn. I mean, you have a lot of children in danger because of these demon time activities. And a lot of times it's just not being addressed properly. and there are excuses being made, and tragedies will continue to happen. I believe that there's a really simple solution to all of this, but they just don't want to do that. These guys who are doing the majority of these crimes have extensive backgrounds, and if you don't hold them accountable and they're able to reoffend, then you're going to see an uptick in the crime. And that's what it is. There is no real accountability. They're letting a lot of these guys out. They just admitted they don't have space to house everybody. So a lot of people were released during the pandemonium. It's just getting really bad.
It's disturbing.
It's a daytime attack at Town Square Park and Federal Way that those here said adds to a list of safety problems in the area. Federal Way police said a man was trying to exercise and was attacked here in the morning by a suspect armed with a tool.
Damn.
Attacked from behind, the man was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. This photo was put out by police on the man they said they are looking for, considered armed and dangerous.
Damn. So they got a glider on the loose out by the park attacking people with tools. God dang. And it looks like this is a blue collar homeless ninja or something. A homeless glider. It's wild.
Got into a point where I usually have to carry a weapon, a gun, a knife, just something, so I can be confident that my son is safe.
Curtis Adkins said he sometimes takes his son here and told us what he sees at this location.
Drug use, homeless people setting fires, cops being called, cops taking 20, 30 minutes.
He's not the only one who shared concern.
What's up with these homeless people setting fires? God dang.
Do you walk around here at night?
God, no.
Patricia Mayer lives next to the park.
Well, if it's warmer and it's sunny, and there's more hours in the day, then yeah, I'll walk. But, when it's dark, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that happens at night.
While police were here, investigators focused their attention on a section near the parking lot at the park as they gathered evidence, learning more about the attack that happened here.
But it's everywhere. Crime is everywhere, and you just have to be on your toes.
Those walking by the scene hoping more attention can be paid to this part of town. Reporting in Federal Way, Paul Rivera, Como News.
Tonight, Federal Way police are asking that you call 911 if you know or see that suspect. They say don't approach the man and that he should be considered armed and dangerous.
Whew. I mean, this is not good. And then listen to what the police say about crime in Seattle. They don't know what to do. They can't handle it.
Releasing their 2022 crime report, data shows shootings were at an all-time high last year, with the majority of the crime in 3 Seattle City neighborhoods: the Chinatown International District, Brighton, and Northgate. Kumble's Hannah Knowles is asking residents if they feel safe in this city and what changes they would like to see elected officials make.
Here in the city of Seattle, overall crime is up 4% from 2022 to 2021. One of the big findings in this.
And that's not good, because 2022, 2020 was one of the years where you saw the uptick start to happen. And they're trying to make this the new normal.
22-page report, gun violence at an all-time high with 739 incidents citywide.
I live in Central District, and it's awful over there. We hear gun shooting all the time. There's people living in their cars, trash all over the place, needles everywhere.
Alarming numbers from the Seattle Police Department. 2022, the highest rate of crime on city record in 15 years. Well, do you feel safe in Seattle?
No,
And why is that?
there's just too much going on the streets.
Most of the time, it's kind of living in the city. Unfortunately, a part of that.
I think it has gotten better, but I will say that there's like a hardcore drug problem.
As you can see on this chart, 2021 was the previous all-time high, followed by 2020. Talking to people today, a common concern, gun violence.
I think there's always been a lot of shootings. Generally, I feel safe in the area. I think our police could do a better job of actually protecting and serving instead of just reacting and serving.
52 total homicides in all of 2022, the second highest on record, just shy of 2020. That year, the city saw 53 homicides.
What do you think would fix it?
We need some strong leadership, and we don't have it. And I thought we would have it with the mayor. I voted for him. I believed in him, and I don't see anything happen.
See? So, I mean, like, there you have it. They're voting for, they say they want strong leadership, but they're voting for weak leadership. It's so crazy. They're voting for the people who are telling you that they're DEI hires, that they are going to do what's best for inclusion and diversity and all this kind of stuff. And they're not really worried about cleaning up the streets, okay? They really aren't.
Happening.
More outreach, obviously, would really help. Maybe not letting them fester the way that they have. They need help. It's a tough spot to be in. It's a tough place to get out of.
Also detailed in the report, the top public safety concerns in 2022, taking the top spot, property crime, followed by police capacity and homelessness. In Seattle, Hannah Knowles, KOMO News.
Well, hi there, Molly. You know, the crime stats, they are alarming. And frankly, it really doesn't surprise many people. It is why so many are worried about safety. And let me tell you, the chief knows it.
2021 was actually our highest year of crime. And to see us about 4% over was one of those things that you're going to focus on. Just natural as a chief, like you want to see that decrease. You want to see like us making progress.
But the progress isn't fast enough. Those who live, work, and even visit Seattle don't need SPD's new crime analysis to know violent crime is way up. They live it. They know shots fired were at an all-time high in 2022.
And the CID was such a huge, drastic change in the increased amount of shootings that happened year over year. That's one of the most disturbing things. But a lot of that was driven in the homeless, nexus.
The CID, the Chinatown International District, had the highest number of shootings in the city last year.
People don't want to wait a year or 6 months. They want it today.
I think over the last 5 months, we're seeing a good trend. But that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods. But we want to make sure that we continue to still stay focused on what our goal is, and that is really to make sure that this city is safe.
Despite the highest violent crime rate in 15 years, the chief is honing in on the last quarter, crime trending down. He says it's because of identifying hotspots such as the CID, more police visibility, curbing homelessness, targeting drug and stolen property trafficking, and getting guns off the street. But for Jeremy Chang, who just opened a business in the CID, he feels compelled to protect himself and his employees.
I feel like I need to be armed in a certain way. So my store does have like a baton for my employees.
A baton.
I did tell them hey, only use it when you feel like your life is threatened because it is dangerous.
That's a big concern because we obviously don't want
a baton. Come on, bruh. I ain't feeling safe with a baton when these super gremlins got them 30-round drums. What is this? What is a baton gonna do? How am I supposed to feel safe with a baton? Okay. How am I gonna feel safe with a baton when they pulling up with 30-round drums? It is insane. I can't believe he said a baton.
Want people to take matters in their own hands.
A primetime moment for President Biden tonight. A live look over the U.S. Capitol, where President Biden just finished his second State of the Union address.
Oh, this is wild. Yeah, but we got a lot of problems in Seattle. Okay, a lot of problems in Washington in general. But I think overall they're not as bad as some of these other cities and states. But there has been an uptick from civilians. They've said that there's been an uptick, and you can feel it. You can see it on the streets. It's everywhere around you. You have an uptick in push icy mask. So this is a normal thing. This is a regular thing. And unfortunately, it looks like it's coming to everybody's doorstep, whether you're in a rural area or a metropolitan area. It just seems like you're not going to get away from this stuff because they just are not enforcing the laws in the way that they should. And we see that on the border. We see that, within our own state borders and city borders and county jurisdictions. So it's a rough time right now. But the most important thing is that you protect yourself. So without further ado, guys, we're going to end it here because I got to start cleaning up the crib. On Sundays, I do my cleaning for the week. But anyways, I appreciate everybody who joined, anybody who donated. Hit the super trap, hit the PayPal, hit the Cash App. Definitely watch the rerun and get in that comment section when the video ends, because I'm going to keep dropping content. I actually have a lot more. I got a lot more content on the way, and we're going to be talking about some very controversial things. So if you are interested in controversy, if you're interested in, this type of content and really understanding and knowing what's going on with these super gremlins in the physical and pathologically, mentally, emotionally, come to this channel because I'm going to be dropping videos every single day now. And you are going to really understand how individual anecdotal situations go down and how that builds up to the amalgamation of data that we see that negatively reflects on the community as it pertains to crime. So yeah, I think it's very important to understand the individual anecdotal situations to understand the aggregate at large, because man, the way that these conflicts pop off, it's so random, but there's always some type of lesson to be learned from it where you can get some real understanding as to why this occurred, how this occurred, and the people behind these shootings. So anyways, you already know what it is. We're going to send it off to Jinquavius Jackson. Take us away. But I appreciate everybody. Make sure y'all be safe on this Sunday afternoon, because these super gremlins are on demon time. What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jinquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
Yo, what's good, BGZM News 17 family? I'm at the corner of Jesse Jackson and Marcus Garvey, and I got some bad news for you. As you can see, I lost my job. I'm out here living in cardboard boxes outside of boarded up vacant homes. YouTube said I'm done getting money out here in these streets. They even took my funky ass suit. So anything right now would help. So go ahead and hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that GoFundMe. Hell, cop the merch. Or if you want to make the long-term commitment to the Jinquavius Jackson Fund, join the Patreon so that I can continue to put out top-notch content each and every day. Also, check out the Rumble, where there is absolutely no censorship. Link in the description box below.
Hey, yo, ain't that nigga Jinquavius? Yo, I recognize.
No, that's not me no more.
Hey, yo, run your pocket.
Y'all killing me with this shit.
Do the opposite of Antonio Brown and take all
What
of your
more
shit
do
off.
you want from me?
Gang violence and other kind of violence